Welcome to the Roundtable. I'm your host, Joe Gately, with my fellow correspondents.
Mark Seisler.
Brian Thompson.
John Kirby.
Great. Let's get right into it. Patriots. It's breaking news. Welker's out, and he's off to Denver. How do you guys feel about that?
First of all, happy Pi Day. Second of all, I really like Amendola. I prefer him to Welker. I know that he is injury prone, but Welker's knees are leaving, so Welker will be too. But Amendola only dropped 2% of his passes is actually a statistic I found. So it's strange.
Yeah, I agree. I think Welker, he's obviously going to do great in Denver with Peyton Manning, and then they also have Demaryius Thomas and Eric Decker. So they'll be really good. Smart move by him. He got the extra $1 million per year because it's reported that the Patriots only offered him 2 years, $10 million. I don't get why they wouldn't go a little higher, but
Yeah, he's definitely an entity that the Patriots could afford. I really don't understand why they wouldn't make him a more attractive offer, especially if they knew that their new coming rivals, the Broncos, were willing to pay for him. The Patriots, I really think, should have offered him that $6 million that they offered to pay Amendola.
Well, I think the reason they didn't is because he doesn't perform in the playoffs. Drops a lot of passes in some big games, like the Super Bowl a couple of years ago. But he's still a good player. But I think it won't make a huge difference this year.
I think your point is valid, but I'm not sure that Danny Amendola has been in a bunch of big games himself, so we really haven't seen how he's able to participate in the big games and if he can come through in the clutch that Wes Welker couldn't.
They're very similar players. It's just Amendola is 5 years younger, and he's probably a bit more efficient than Welker. His only downside is that he gets injured, but the thing with that is it's not reoccurring injuries. It's little things like breaking a bone. It's not stuff that keeps on coming back and haunting him.
yeah, that's why I think it's a good deal in the fact that only $10 million is guaranteed over 5 years. So if it doesn't work out, then it's only $2 million guaranteed a year, and if he works out, then that's great. And I think if he's healthy and can stay on the field, then once he builds that chemistry with Tom Brady, he'll be better than Welker now.
One of the concerns I really have is that playing the slot receiver, you have to go down the middle. And we've seen Welker get hit a bunch of times, but he's gotten right back up, and I'm still wondering how Amendola would handle that. All right. 71% of people said in Boston.com that Welker is leaving is a horrible idea. Is that just fans not able to let him go, or is it truly a bad idea?
I think it's not a great idea, obviously, but I don't think it's horrible. I think that's an overreaction. He's getting up there in age, and he was really becoming a bit of a distraction in the locker room with what was going to happen, and there were rumors that he wanted to spite the Patriots and everything, and I just think it was time to move on for both parties.
Do you guys have anything to say?
I agree.
Me too.
All right. Do you think the money we save in the Brady's deal and Welker leaving should be spent on something like defense or offense?
Well, we need a deep threat. That's a definite, but there are a couple good receivers in the draft this year, and we might get them with our first-round pick. And I know we still have we signed Logan Mankins back yet?
Yeah, he's on the team.
Okie dokes. Well, that's taken care of. So basically a deep threat for me, and maybe a little more coverage in the secondary.
Yeah, the deep threat is really important, but I think that we should definitely look at Ed Reed and maybe another corner to
Maybe
help back.
Nnamdi Asomugha.
Nnamdi Asomugha, definitely,
Just got
but
cut.
especially because he just got cut. He's open. He's probably looking for a little less than he was thought to have made. I'm confused by Asomugha, or whatever his name is, Nnamdi Asomugha, because he was paid a lot by the Eagles, but then he was a non-factor over there in Philadelphia, and you could just see big plays happening on his side of the field, and maybe it's a lack of focus, or maybe the Eagles not winning, but I just don't know what it was. So next, we got Flacco's contract. What are you guys' thoughts?
I think it's too high.
It's really stupid.
Yeah, it's really forcing the Ravens to make some really tough decisions. Obviously, they had to trade away Anquan Bolden, among other things, like letting Kruger and Ellerby walk. So I think it's really coming back to haunt them.
The Ravens might not even be a playoff team next year, in my opinion. They're going to be on the cusp. It's amazing how downhill they went so quickly.
I think this is just a bonehead move by the organization to pay someone who has kind of proved himself not. I don't see him as elite quite yet, but letting people go like Anquan Bolden, Paul Kruger, and Ellerby, along with Pauly that they had just cut.
Well, they lost all the linebackers in the rotation other than Terrell Suggs and Courtney Upshaw, probably.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how they handle this and how they fill these new spots as the season goes on.
I mean, Anquan Bolden was huge in the game against the Pats and just in the playoffs in general, and they don't have that threat anymore. I mean, they still got a great receiving core, but he's definitely going to be a huge hit.
Yeah, he really brought the Ravens some versatility, a big, strong receiver that could really go up for balls, go up against people, and in my opinion, I thought he was going to be the MVP of the Super Bowl besides Joe Flacco. So I'm going to see. I'd like to see how the Ravens fill that hole. The free agency market has opened up, and there have been some big moves, like the Dolphins acquiring Mike Wallace. How do you guys feel about that?
I mean, I guess he fits on their team. They have nobody, and we couldn't have gotten him because he wanted such a big salary. So, I mean, I could have seen it happening.
And they especially don't have anyone now that Reggie Bush signed a 5-year deal with the Lions.
I believe that's correct.
It's fun.
Well, I think that Mike Wallace is a great addition to the Dolphins, definitely with Ryan Tannehill, given the confidence that he is the starter, and he is proven to throw the deep ball. So it'll be interesting to see someone with that kind of speed go for such deep passes.
Who's Buffalo's current quarterback now that Fitzpatrick's cut? Do we know? Okay.
I really don't think it's that strong of a free agency market for quarterbacks, so I don't see anything good for the Bills coming up anytime soon.
Maybe they could get Geno Smith in the draft.
Yeah, well, some of the mock drafts say that the Cardinals might use it for their first-round pick because who do they have? They just cut Kevin Cobb, right?
Well, he's expected to be cut really
Yeah.
soon. So.
So another big move was Percy Harvin going to the Seahawks. How do you think that he fares with the Seahawks in comparison to Anquan Bolden with the 49ers?
I think that Percy Harvin to the Seahawks is a bigger move because he's younger and he's more explosive at this point in his career. Anquan Bolden is a great veteran for the 49ers, not that they don't have that already, but they're not expected to get Randy Moss back, and so to help Colin Kaepernick, Anquan Bolden is going to be huge. That said, Percy Harvin is going to help Russell Wilson immensely because he's their clear-cut number one receiver at this point.
Now they have one of the best offenses in the NFL.
Along with defense, with the addition of Cliff Averill.
Yeah.
2-year deal, not too expensive. So
Also, they have the best. They have the biggest corners in the league, like the burliest.
Percy Harvin also adds a sense of versatility to the team because he can go back for punt returns, kick returns, just everywhere he goes, he can get on the scoreboard quick.
Speaking of which, I think that the Pats should invest in Josh Cribbs. I know you were making a point to that. Also, I think that would be a big get for us if we're looking at the free agents.
Mark, your thoughts?
I definitely agree. More than Josh Cribbs, I think Leon Washington would be a great fit. He visited today, and So that would be huge. I think he's a dangerous kick returner and punt returner. And Joshua Cribbs is a great player, but he's a little up there in age. I think he's around 30, and he's injury prone. So I'd rather have Leon Washington, but either would be good.
I feel like Cribbs is past his prime of kick returns. Like, you haven't seen any big plays out of him lately. I mean, he made the all-decade team and a couple years ago, and now it's pretty much nothing. So, Ryan Fitzpatrick, Charles Woodson, Nnamdi Asomugha, Michael Turner, Leon Washington, who just visited the Patriots, D'Angelo Hall, and James Harrison have all been cut. Which one do you think the Patriots or teams should look out for the most?
Well, I personally think Nnamdi Asomugha is the prize of that list. Charles Woodson is also could contribute to a team if he's in the right scheme.
I think that Michael Turner can still do some good things, even though he's getting up there in age. I think he can still be in the rotation as a running back and make some good plays, not necessarily as a third down back, but he can still get solid yardage. He had a pretty decent season last year.
Speaking of the Falcons, Tony Gonzalez has just said that he's coming back for another year after speculation that it was his time to retire. So how do you guys feel about that?
I mean, they're a Super Bowl contender still, so I see his reasoning behind it. I think he just wants to get a ring before the end, like Ray Lewis did.
Yeah, he's definitely still an elite tight end. He's definitely up there with Gronkowski if he can stay healthy and continue to produce like he did last year.
Yeah, he's not just like on the team. He's still making a lot of contributions. He catches in the playoffs and definitely helped his team advance.
Yeah, being a seasoned veteran definitely helps in the playoffs with a younger quarterback in Matt Ryan.
Well, even though last year was his first playoff appearance or playoff win.
I'm just saying he helped
Yeah.
get him there.
Yeah.
He wasn't
Yeah.
just along for the ride.
Yeah. And Tony Gonzalez doesn't need to be relied on with the up-and-coming Julio Jones and the consistency of Roddy White. So, Patriot and now free agent Aqib Talib met with the Redskins yesterday. Do you think that we should actively pursue him as an entity, or we should let him go?
I think we should get him back. I mean, we have a ton of cap space. I don't think he's demanding too much, but I think he really helped the Patriots.
I liked having him. He did some good stuff, but I just hate the fact that he wussed out of the biggest game of the year in the end.
I wouldn't call it wussing out, but I mean, or the biggest game of the year. For us it was, but not in general.
I mean,
that would have been the Super Bowl. But
you know what I mean.
So yeah, I think he's definitely an essential part and a huge piece of the puzzle. Right now, our only two corners on the roster are Rossai Dowling and Alfonso Dennard, who might be going to jail. So that is not good.
We lost Julian Edelman too.
Yeah,
It's a shame.
So I think we should pay him and try to keep him because he definitely made a big impact. Yeah, he's facing up to 5 years. Dennard is for punching an officer in the face. So it's not good.
On that note, let's turn to the Celtics. Following a blowout to the worst team in the league in the Charlotte Bobcats, what do you think the Celtics have to do next?
Well, I mean, I think the Bobcats are 15-40, something like that. But I think the Celtics proved that that wasn't a big deal when they blew out the Raptors last night. And I think they're doing quite well.
John, how do you feel about Paul Pierce? Number 20, all-time scoring.
Well, I don't think that's
From all the hustle.
I don't think that's a big deal. Clearly, Charles Barkley is 10 times the player of Pierce. Actually, they're pretty comparable. They're both lazy, both don't hustle.
And you think he's 10 times the player?
Yeah. Well, he played in a better time in the NBA with better players.
I don't know about that. I think the NBA is pretty advanced right now.
Well, I mean, when Chuck was playing, had Hakeem Olajuwon. I mean,
LeBron James and
Yeah.
Kevin Durant are guarding Paul Pierce.
Nope. I agree with Mark on this one. I think that basketball's better right now than it was back then.
I don't know about that. I'm just saying the defense on Paul Pierce is comparable to Charles Barkley, or the competition.
Teams put their best defender on Pierce a lot of the time. Like Dabo Sabalosha will be on Pierce.
well, I mean, Paul Pierce doesn't play that great against those teams. I mean, well, Pierce is a good player, but the thing is, he doesn't hustle. He's just not a true intense competitor.
Oh,
Go ahead.
No, you go.
If you still have a point, I
No,
was
go
going to move. Okay. So, Pierce's teammate, Kevin Garnett, who scored 12 points, has moved up to the 15th place on that scoring list, passing the Lakers legend Jerry West.
that a big deal?
That's a big deal. I mean, Kevin Garnett is just amazing. I mean, at his age, he's still going out there every night and competing, not getting nights off like Paul Pierce, who doesn't deserve them. I mean, he's just really
They're
playing
polar
well.
opposites.
Yeah, they are polar opposites. I mean, Pierce doesn't hustle, and he's not into the game. I mean, he's just not like he's not a competitor. And Kevin Garnett hustles still, and he's still an intense competitor.
Paul Pierce has been stepping it up the last couple weeks, especially after Rajon Rondo has gone down. How do you guys feel about that?
Pierce is doing a great job.
Yeah, I think he's playing extremely well. He's averaging close to 18, 8, and 6, and he's stepping up with those assists in the absence of Rondo. I think he's hustling more, and he's just doing a great job.
Avery Bradley has carried this team since Rajon Rondo has gone out.
Avery Bradley is
Pierce is
averaging
really-
like 8 points a game while shooting like
You have
40% from the field.
I mean, he defensively, his steals, the Celtics' fast break points have been up since Rondo went out, surprisingly. His steals and deflections on defense are just incredible, and he's been knocking down those corner threes, and he's the hustle player on this team right now.
I think Jeff Green's been doing a huge part too. But going back to Pierce, he has been one of the most like efficient scorers in the
And
past
one of the
couple
most-
weeks. I mean,
One of the most clutch players.
definitely, he's always clutch though.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
He was also elected. He was also in the running for NBA Player of the Week, so obviously he's doing something right.
That doesn't mean anything. Player of the week. Come on, it's not about the player, it's about the team. Player of the week doesn't mean anything. I mean, it's
Seems to
just a
get thrashed by
title.
the Bobcats.
It's just a title.
All right.
The NBA
I
title
think
is
I
also
think it
just
was
a title.
huge. We saw when Pierce got his night off, they got thrashed by the Bobcats, and then he comes back for Toronto and they blow him out.
I don't think that has anything to do with it.
The evidence is right in front of you. It's got
No.
something to do with it.
The Bobcats.
He's like a difference of 50
All right,
points. So
Gerald
that's
Gerald Henderson went off, had 35 points, and
We got destroyed by the worst team in the league instead of beating one of the worst teams in the league.
well, I mean, the Raptors are a much tougher team than the Bobcats. I mean, they have
And
Rudy
that's-
Gay now.
That's our
With
point.
Pierce.
Right. No, but I'm saying the Bobcats. We had an off night. Kevin Garnett wasn't hitting shots. He should have passed Jerry West in that game. He didn't. Jeff Green was ice cold. I mean, the whole team couldn't
It's
hit a
because
shot.
we needed Paul Pierce.
He you don't notice it, but he creates a lot for other players,
He
especially
draws
now
a
that
double,
Rondo's
kicks
gone.
it out, and then Jeff Green dunks.
Maybe the Jet hits a tray. Never know.
All right, moving on to around the NBA. The Lakers are in the playoff hunt. Do you guys think they'll stay, or will they go?
I don't.
Kobe just got hurt, so I don't know about that.
Yeah, Kobe just sprained his ankle. The Mavs are 3 games back. Dirk's getting his legs under him from coming back from that injury. I think the Mavericks are going to take over that 8 spot.
I don't think that it's the Mavs. I just think that it's going to be Kobe not being able to produce as much. But I still think that the Lakers will end up making the playoffs because I feel like the Rockets are on a decline and the Lakers have been gelling more so lately than they did in the beginning of the season.
Yeah, I'd say the Mavericks have close to no chance of making the playoffs.
It's 10%.
And I think the Lakers are going to make the playoffs. I mean, Dwight Howard said he's a changed man since the All-Star break, and that
He
was
also calls himself Superman.
And that was evident when he returned to Orlando.
He's been
and
playing a lot better.
Had 39 points and tied his own record for free throws.
Yeah, he hit 25 free throws. That's big for him.
Out of 39.
That's big.
Still, though.
Speaking of Dwight Howard, he returns to Orlando 2 nights ago, and he just crushes them. How does that fare in the NBA?
I mean, the Magic without Dwight Howard are just terrible. I mean, Glenn Davis was actually, getting them wins, and when he went out, they just fell apart.
Yeah, they're looking at a lottery pick. But they put up a fight in that game. They even used Hacka Howard, which didn't work.
I prefer Hack a Shaq, but
Yeah, but I mean,
I know.
it wasn't Shaq, so yeah.
Yeah, well, I mean, Melo just went back to his old hometown. He played in Denver for the first time since he went to New York, and he got destroyed. He actually pretended to have an injury and ran away. So
Yeah, 9 points.
Well, I don't think that he faked it. I mean, he's had problems with his knee the last couple weeks.
if you guys are fans of Shaq and a Fool, you would have seen
Yeah, I saw that.
D. Scott, the sniper,
Yeah.
shooting out Carmel's knee.
I still think that he's had problems with it, and it's still not fully healed. He's a competitor, and who wouldn't want to go home and play the old team that you used to play for and give them a run for a win?
apparently Melo.
Okay, then. Speaking of the Nuggets, their win at home boosts them to a 10-game home winning streak. How does that fare in the NBA?
Well, I mean, Denver's probably the toughest place to play in the NBA. I mean, the high elevation.
I
Really,
think that
but-
Miami's a tougher place to play. I think they only have 3 home losses.
I disagree. It's actually Denver. They also only have 3 home losses. Not as many wins, but they will have a better home record by the end of the season. And it's true. Teams come in and they're really sucking wind when they play Denver. It's visible, especially when Denver uses their run and gun philosophy.
Got a lot of young players.
Gallinari.
Not a lot of style. Not a lot of great players to slow down the game. So they kind of got to use that run and gun philosophy to help them win these games. You guys mentioned the Heat, and with them is a 19-game win streak.
Now
20, yeah.
20-game win streak.
4th team in the NBA history.
4th team in NBA history. That's just crazy. How do you guys feel?
I think it's going to end pretty soon when the Celtics play him.
Agreed. As long as Pierce plays, they'll take care of business.
I mean, I think that Jeff Green will be covering LeBron and D'ing him up, getting some steals, and Avery Bradley will get some steals off Mario Chalmers.
You don't think any other team is capable of beating them besides the Celtics?
Well, not in their upcoming schedule.
Okay.
The Celtics aren't like great against the Heat, but they're better than a lot of teams fare. Like last year, they played them pretty well in the playoffs too.
We almost beat them in a playoff series.
Yeah.
I mean, we were 1 game away from the finals last year.
A few minutes.
Yeah. If Rondo hadn't gone down.
If there is any team that knows how to beat the Heat, it's the Celtics.
Yep.
So, I agree with you that they'll that win streak will definitely come to a close as the Celtics come to town. In other NBA news, Derrick Rose, former MVP, has been cleared to play after his ACL injury last year, but he is not mentally prepared. Do you think that this is a smart choice or it's the wrong choice?
I think it's just dumb. I mean, his team without him just got blown out by, I think, at least 30 points.
Sacramento Kings.
The Sacramento Kings without DeMarcus Cousins, their best player.
Arguably.
No, definitely. And
Debatable.
Tyreek Evans.
he averages 20.
The point being
I like
that
Tyreek too.
I disagree with you. Well, that point.
Point is you're
Derrick.
wrong.
No. But Derrick Rose, the reason he's not mentally prepared, quote unquote, is because he doesn't feel comfortable dunking off his left foot, which is the knee that he tore his ACL on.
He doesn't have to dunk.
If he can't play, if he feels he can't play, I get that. I understand that.
And he's young. He's the He was the MVP, and his team. It's not like they're not in the playoffs. They're a playoff team.
Yeah,
right
they're
now.
about the 6th seed right now.
Yeah.
I feel like the Celtics are going to pass them, but neither.
Yeah, we're tied for the 5th seed with them.
Oh, okay.
And being the franchise player for these Bulls, it's definitely important that he knows that he's ready to play, because if he goes out when he's not ready, he could re-injure it and cause even more woes for the
He's a young
Bulls.
guy. He doesn't want to risk further injury and having this be a lifelong thing that's hurting him.
Alright. So, to other basketball news, Trey Burke of the Big Ten Michigan Wolverines has won the Big Ten Player of the Year. Do you think that was well justified, or was Cody Zeller the true winner?
I think it was well justified. I think Cody Zeller was up there, but Trey Burke really pulled away with some of those performances that he had. And in other news, actually, no, it's the same news, but I think he is NBA ready. There are a lot of questions about that, but this just solidifies that.
I think that had C.J. McCollum not been injured for most of the season, that he would have ended up being the Player of the Year, just because he's so dominant when he's in there, especially playing on a Lehigh Mountain Hawks team. It's pretty impressive.
I think Gonzaga is number 1 in the country. How do you guys feel about that? Do you think that they deserve it, or because they play such a weak schedule that it was deserved to another team?
Well, I mean, they're looking like they were about 5 years ago when Adam Morrison was with them, just shaying it up. But unfortunately, Adam Morrison didn't work out in the NBA, as Michael Jordan came to find out with the Bobcats. But
And we'll have more NCAA news next week as we give our March Madness predictions.
With Richard Grady. And I also feel that it's kind of like, I'm just moving on, it's kind of like, no offense, Mark, but Notre Dame was kind of like, fine, all right, we're moving on.
Finish the point.
I feel like Notre Dame played a weak schedule, and then they got to the top spot, and it just didn't work out for them. And I feel like the same thing's going to happen to Gonzaga in the tournament after the weak schedule that they played in preparation.
All right, to wrap up, we're going to talk about the local sports. After last year's loss of an athletic class of seniors, how will the teams fare in 2013?
well,
Lacrosse has a lot of young guys. We got this guy over here. We got a lot of people in the sophomore and junior grade that are going to make an impact. You see Chris Williams over there.
And Brian Thompson is going to lead the baseball team along with the rest of the underclassmen. And they also have a lot of good seniors this year. And that is that, yeah.
Thank you for watching. We'll be back next week. Thanks.